I don't know. That is awfully small. That'd be just great if I got to be known as the guy on YouTube that cut his fingers off with the miter saw. Yeah, it'd be the laughing stock. I don't know. On the other hand, I am Todd Clippinger. I think I can do this. Yeah, not a problem. I'm cutting it.
All right, well, I can't wait to see the backlash from the safety police from that intro. I'm Todd Clippinger, and welcome to the American Craftsman Workshop. Today, I want to talk about cutting small stock safely at the miter saw. Not only safely, but getting great results. So when we take a look at the miter saw, one of the big problems when we want to cut something small is we have a big open area around the blade, in the table, and the fence, and it provides no support. What we need is a zero clearance fence. Now, I do a variety of zero clearance fences, and the most simple is to simply use the mounting holes that are in the fence of the miter saw and screw a fence to the manufacturer's fence of the miter saw, and that'll give you a zero clearance cut at the back of the material and help prevent tear out. But for small stock like I want to talk about today, that's not really going to help you because it's only providing support at the back. What we need is a zero clearance fence that has a fence and a table. So I actually do a few different types of these, and here's the first one. And actually what this has is a zero clearance fence plus the table. And typically, just generally speaking, I like to make them about the size, close to the size of the overall table of the miter saw. There's no specific size, guys. It kind of depends on what your needs are, so just kind of gauge it off that. But to give you an idea, so once I make these, the first thing I do is I cut a 90 degree and a 45 in it right away, because typically those are the angles that I need to cut. And you don't want to cut all the way through. When you plunge the blade down, you're not looking to cut all the way through the table. You'll cut all the way through the fence, but don't cut all the way through the table. Actually, you just want to get the blade in far enough that you know you're going to clear the material. So this is the first type of table that I do. And here's another one. This one actually was made specifically for these. I went a little shorter on the fence. It's a little bit closer to the size of the material that I'm handling. And so that's why I made that. Now, I don't screw these to the miter saw, and here's why. Because when I'm cutting, a lot of times I'll need to cut stock at both a 45 and a 90 degree, and I need to be able to move this around. Now, this is really easy to zero out on the blade because you drop the blade down and just lightly put the fence to the blade, and that gives you the perfect cut right there. Now, if I want to go to a 45, I always move the table. I made a habit of completely moving the table off when I change and set to my different angles, because that ensures that I'm accurate, because I've messed up before. So now I moved it to a 45. I'm going to lightly put the fence against the blade. Now I can put my piece against it. Now what's really cool is I can see exactly where this is going to cut, because basically the fence is zeroed out against the blade, and that tells me exactly where that cut's going to be. All right. Now that's a really nice, perfect, clean cut. That worked out really well. Now, if I want a little bit more control, actually, let's stick with this fence for a second. If I want a little bit more control, I'll use a holding block. Now, for this particular piece of trim, it's rounded. If this block was strictly squared off on the edges, I would have a difficult time. I could push it against the fence, but I would actually have trouble holding it down to the table. So I need to control it in two directions. I need to go against the fence, and I need to go down to the table. In order to be able to offer that sort of pressure, I chamfered the back edge of my holding block. So let's go back to set it to the 45. Okay, we're going to make our cut. Now, this is sacrificial block, so it can go right up there. as close as you need. If it gets cut off, it gets cut off. As I put pressure against my trim stick, it will push it down to the table and back against the fence. Once again, gives us another clean cut. Now, if I need a little bit more control, let's get my other fence. I have another fence. This one has the table, the back fence, and an additional front fence. So this is set, so this was made specifically for this. And there's a couple things that you need to be particular about, in that this is made for this piece of trim, and it slides right in there. The fence is just a fuzz lower than the piece of trim that I'm cutting. And what that does is allows me to easily grab it and hold it in position, to position it and to hold it both. So let's zero our fence out here. Okay, so I'm just lightly touching against, and if you take a look, watch me drop this. Okay, you notice that the blade doesn't drop too far into the table. It's just enough, it just drops in enough that I know I'm going to get a clean cut on my trim. So I put my trim in, and now I know exactly where it's going to cut. So let's say I make a mark on my trim, and I can take my trim right to that zero clearance spot. Now, here's why the fence is a little bit low. Like I said, I can hold it in place easier. If the piece is really small, let's say like this one here, then we can hold it with a stick. So I'll just hold it with a stick. And we have a really nice clean cut. Okay, now we got to go to a 45. Move my table so I can accurately see. I am on 45. And we're going to zero it out against the blade. These get, these zero clearance fences and tables, they get wore out. They are disposable. You make them, you use them up, and you move on. You just make another one. And I don't get fancy with these things. I slap these together with super glue, 2P10 from FastCap. The 2P10 is perfect for throwing together templates and patterns and things like that you need to glue together rapidly. And that's what I use to put these together. So let's get back here to zero this out. Okay, now if I had a mark on that, it'd be easy to see. And we're going to hold it with the holding stick. All right, now to get an accurate cut, this is how I do it so I get safe, accurate cuts. Now, one of the things, you're going to lose accuracy if you don't hold your trim, because if you don't hold the trim, the miter saw blade, especially on the angle cuts, it will draw the trim into it and it'll eat more into it. Number one, that's not going to give you a perfectly 90-degree cut down, dropping down into the table. It's going to draw it in and it's going to eat it at an angle. And, basically you lose control of the piece and it'll give you degraded results. So that's why it's important to hold that. Now here's another thing. I don't flip the table saw back and forth, or the miter saw back and forth, to change the angle. All I do on trim like this is I'll cut it right side up, and then I'll flip it, and then I can hold it and cut it the other way. And that gives me my complementary cut. And when I put that together on a small project, the pieces come together perfectly, and I get really good results. So safety plus quality, all in one package from using the zero clearance fence. Now, if you notice too, as I was handling this, really you can use, when you do the double fence, you can use the back, you can run your piece in between the two to get control of it, but if you want to, you can also run it against the fence just out front as well. So the double fence actually has some added benefits there. So, well, that's really all I have for you guys. Really excited to get some more videos out. And that's all I have for you this time. So until next time, please stay safe. And remember, let your work be your signature.